Hello, my name's John. This is the first time I've done this. This is the very first episode of a thing that I would like to call the Great Railway Chinwag, and this is the first episode. Today we'll be talking, or tonight, I don't care, whatever time it is that you're listening to this. We're going to be talking with Evan. His last name is Lofback. Not sure where that comes from. I should ask him next time. But this is basically just an introduction to the show. First, in this part one episode, we're going to be talking about what we're drinking as we recorded this. Basically just being idiots. We'll talk about the first time that Evan saw the 630 in Alcoa, Tennessee. Apparently, liquor laws were written by Satan. Just some old stories from when we first moved here from Florida. And then, what goals he had, why he made it. I also discuss how much younger Evan is and how I could technically be his dad. And also, this intro is way too long. So, here's part one. Hello, Evan.
Hello, John.
How's your day?
Fine. It was adequate.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, it's better now. I've got 2 drinks.
We do have 2 drinks. I have a drink here to my right, and I have one to my left.
Both of mine are to my left.
Wow. Are you left-handed?
No. So this is actually kind of inconvenient.
I'm left-handed, but my left arm is kind of not what it used to be right now. So I'm going to take a sip of this drink that you made me, and you can explain to me what it is first. Actually, here's the first question that I have in my list of 75 questions I have for you. My mom wants to know if you miss Maryville.
The town or the people?
She did not specify.
Then in that case, I will say I miss both.
Okay, so she also I then followed that question up when she asked me that, because I said, hey, I'm going to your house, I'm going to record this, and then she's like, ask him if he misses Maryville. I was like, okay, what else? And then she's like, I don't know. And then I asked her, I said, I don't have any intention to like make this serious whatsoever. So do you have any like just random question for Evan or even Alexa, who's not even in this room right now? And she's like, I don't think that way. So why would I even try? Okay.
Well, I definitely miss Pam.
Pam. See, if I said that in front of her, I get slapped in the face.
You have to call her mom.
Yeah, I have to call her mom. That's a long old time story from Publix in the back in the day.
Publix.
You're a Florida kid. You remember.
Where shopping is a pleasure.
Okay, so before we get to what we're drinking,
which I want to get to quickly because I've had this beer just mocking me.
Okay, I've got 4 questions going to lead up to you drinking this beer.
Okay,
and then you can tell me how much you hate it. All right. What did you do today?
Did you bring this beer here just to get rid of it?
No, I forgot that I had it, and when I brought the bag over to like bring all this equipment up here, I was like, oh, I have these beers in my go bag. So I'm like, let's just have these.
So clearly, at best, it's a forgettable beer.
I wouldn't say that. I only had one, and it's been like a week or 2. But, yeah.
Okay, sorry. You asked a question, and
what did you do today?
I went to work early because this week has been crazy schedule-wise, and I was behind on my hours. So I went in early. I worked for approximately 7 hours. I ate lunch at Good Golly Tamale downtown, which, by the way, I don't know if you've been or not, but
no, I have not.
If you like tamales, even if you don't like tamales, it's a great tamale.
Okay.
I highly recommend it. And it's very cheap. You can get a full lunch, less than $10, including a drink.
When I was a kid, we had a chinchilla named Tamale.
Oh.
I don't know what happened to it.
Yeah, I mean...
I doubt that it was in a tamale at any point, but...
That would be poetic.
So they don't... What did you eat for dinner?
I patronized? No, none of that's right. I purchased food.
Yeah, I saw that when I came into your kitchen.
To support the family of Yasin. Of Yasin's Falafel House.
Dude, that place is so popular on Reddit.
It is?
Yes. If you get on Reddit, like somebody is actually asking the other day, like how do you make an enemy in East Tennessee? And somebody said make fun of Yasin's Falafel House.
Oh, it's 100% true, though.
I've never been. I
Oh,
want to
dude,
go.
it's so good. It's so good.
It just has that weird like stop sign in the front, which makes me want to avoid going there. And
Yeah, so it's funny you say that because when I went to pick it up, I had an unfortunate experience driving because you have to parallel park if you're going to do curbside carryout, which we always do. And so I got to that stop sign, and for those listening who are not familiar with Yassine's, it is on a street corner. So I had to turn right at the stop sign and then parallel park immediately after that. Well, there was a lady in an SUV who waited for me to turn.
right.
And, you know, if you know how to drive, then you know that you pull past the parallel parking spot you wish to park in, turn on your blinker, and then back into it.
This is a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, it's kind of has that setup.
Yes. Not made for real. It actually, I think it is.
So I stopped and had my blinker on well in advance of this lady even coming through the intersection behind me. So she had plenty of time to figure out what the deal was and what was going on. Instead, she got up right behind me. And I actually think she may have been trying to steal the parallel parking spot, and I didn't care. So I just reversed and started heading towards her until she honked at me. And I honked back, and then we were in a stalemate, and I rolled down my window and waved her around rather vigorously.
Yes, as a goose,
Yes.
because you honked.
Yes. Well,
That was a dad joke.
yeah,
It was pretty bad.
it was. Where's your rim shot?
I might, yeah. No, it's not even worth it. Yeah, it's so terrible. It's not even worth it. It's so stupid. No, I'm not.
Anywho, you're probably going to want to cut that whole ridiculous story out.
No, I'm not going to cut that out. It's terrible. Like, okay.
Can I try this beer now?
No, I have two more questions before we get to that.
Okay.
So you have patience. All right.
Sorry.
How many cups of coffee did you have?
One.
One. I had like 4.
Whoa. I try not to drink more than one because I don't want to get like super addicted to it and have horrible headaches.
You're not going to get addicted to it. I mean, it just depends. Like, you're not like some weirdo that's going to Starbucks all the time. It's like once like a vocabulary of a drink. Okay. That was not that important of a or interesting of a question.
I mean, I'm fine with it. It's your viewers or listeners. I'm kind of sorry for.
They're not going to care about that. But I'm going to ask everybody all these same stupid questions, so they better be prepared. So you're the guinea pig.
Okay.
Now you went to Yassine's. I know that it's good. What did you specifically get?
The chicken plate. We always get the chicken plate.
What's on that?
Chicken plate is life. It's chicken and
On a plate.
yeah, on a plate with rice. What really puts Yassine's over the edge for me is the sauces. They have like this white garlic sauce that I get. It's so good.
And what is like the ethnicity of this food?
I don't know. It's Mediterranean, I suppose.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, when are you going to give me that barbecue sauce that you promised me the last time?
That was the recipe.
Yes.
Oh, I can send that to you anytime.
I know.
It's in a recipe book downstairs in the kitchen right now. I
Okay.
can take a picture of it with my phone.
Well, before I leave, it will be in my phone.
Yeah.
Okay, so we covered all that. What you ate, what you did.
Time to drink.
We have our drinks. So, which do you want to go for first? We have the beer, and we have.
I want to do the beer because I mean it was warm when you brought it in.
It wasn't warm. It was just not.
It was
ice cold.
It wasn't even cold at all.
Well, we're not in the 70s in like a Bud Light commercial. We're in the 2000s now.
Yeah, I remember. Was it Bud Light? What brand was it that had the train for a while?
Oh, Coors Light. Yeah.
Yeah, Coors Express. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I had like the silver bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not that cold.
No.
But
it's the only thing I liked about the Super Bowl as a child.
That beer you have to drink that cold because that's the only way that it actually kind of tastes good.
Okay.
So just
I get that. I mean, isn't that most beer?
Yeah, I mean we can call them. They're
yeah. Okay, well let's get this over with because I get the feeling I'm not going to like it. What is it again?
It's a sour beer. I left the can downstairs and I forgot which it is, but yeah, it's a sour of some sort and it's supposed to be kind of citrusy.
Okay, I'm gonna hold the microphone away so that people don't have to like listen to me.
You don't want to do like ASMR beer drinking?
Oh gosh, no. Ooh, ew. It lives up to its name of being sour.
Okay, but when else your last time did I teach you how to drink beer?
No.
Okay, so here's what you gotta do. Put your nose up to the glass and take a big inhale with your nose only. Okay.
Done.
Done. Okay. Now, this is what you're going to do next. You're going to take a sip, and you're not going to swallow it immediately. You're going to let the beer hang out and kind of get all over your taste buds, all over your tongue, and just hold it in your mouth for a minute before you swallow it.
Yeah, that did make it better.
Now, okay, so the other part to that is after you swallow it, exhale through your nose. And then repeat that process. And the second time you do it, you actually get way more of the flavor.
Okay, I'll give it one more shot.
You have an entire pint.
I don't know. I'm not convinced.
You should be. Before we move on to...
Can we try that again with, like a good beer?
Yeah, like...
I mean, we don't have good beer here.
well, next time or something.
Yeah.
Now, explain this other drink that you made.
It's... I just call it a spicy old-fashioned. It's nothing special. I actually think I made it a little too sweet. I tasted it before we came up here. And it probably just needs more bourbon. I don't know. But
everything needs more bourbon. You got a lot of ice in here.
Well, the water contributes to the taste.
Yeah.
But anyways, as far as what this is, it's like a regular old-fashioned with a small twist. It's obviously bourbon. Yep. It is Angostura bitters. It is simple syrup, or in this case, I used what's the stuff you put in agave?
Yeah,
it's agave syrup.
Let's make tequila.
And Ancho Reyes liqueur, which is a pepper-based liqueur, and it is delicious.
It is good. I just took like a sip. It's super smoky.
Yeah, so that's the other thing I did that you witnessed.
I did.
Yeah, was the smoking of the drink afterwards. The smoke and the pepper pairs pretty well. I may have over-smoked. What do you think?
I'm not one to judge. I don't know. Like
there's something about it. It needs something.
Okay, so you just drink a sour beer. You don't like those that much. And then I'm drinking this with the smoke, which is a cool new thing I've not really experienced too much except like maybe one other time here at your house. But yeah, no, I mean, it'd be kind of fun to try again. And then you got the cherry that you've stabbed with some.
Oh, yeah. Luxardo cherries. You got to have them.
Those are good. I enjoy those.
Unlike the rest of the drink.
And the straws.
Yeah, 2 little bar straws in there.
Yeah, like I'm going to go to a casino and just tap the buttons until somebody brings me another free drink, which I've never done, but
yeah.
Still. Okay, anyway. Have you imbibed enough to answer random questions that we have come up with for you?
Are they train related?
They are.
I was told there would be trains.
Yeah, and you like trains, right?
Sometimes. Okay, not as much lately.
Okay, my first question is why?
Why I do or why I don't?
No, it just says why. Like that's my first question for you.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. That's a tough question for anyone who likes trains to really answer without sounding, all sappy and weird.
Okay, if you want me to make it more specific, why did you make that documentary?
Oh God. Because I was young and foolish, I think is the main answer.
How old are you now?
I'm 28.
Oh my God, you're such a child.
Yeah, but when I started on that thing, I'm trying to remember if I was 19 or 20.
Yeah, you were pretty young. I was thinking about that when I was driving over here. I was like, wait, dang, like Evan's not even 30 yet. I couldn't be your dad. But
how old are you?
I'm 40.
I'm gonna do that math. Yeah, no, you could not be my father.
Yeah, not to get too far off into the weeds, but I did know a girl in 6th grade who had a kid.
Oh my God.
Not joking.
Oh anyway, my.
Yeah.
And that was in Florida?
Well, I mean, of course.
Well, I mean, we are in Tennessee right now. You can't.
There's something to be said for being slapped in the face by your mom by calling her by her first name versus maybe not having that kind of discipline. Then.
Anyways.
So
I mean, well, let's go back to the original question.
Why?
Yeah. Why why do I like trains? I mean, I think like most train enthusiasts, foamers, rail fans, I don't care what you call them.
Gurfs.
Gurfs?
Never heard Gurfs before?
No, I haven't.
It's my favorite.
What is it?
Glassy-eyed rail fans.
I've not heard that one.
That's my go-to.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't care. I mean, I know my hobby is weird. I don't care what people call me.
Yeah. I mean, I work on this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here at your house. We're talking about trains, drinking cocktails.
Yeah. But anyways,
Being Gurfs.
I think like most Gurfs, I got into trains because as a child, I had family members who were into trains. And so as a toddler, my grandmother, my grandfather, my uncle, like it was their thing. They would take me down to the rail yards in Tampa and we would sit there and watch trains go in and out. Of course, that was all before 9/11, so you could do that kind of stuff. And I remember when that happened and you would just start getting chased out, which was a very sad day for young Evan.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, you could go to Orlando International and you could, like where the planes land, there you got 528s right there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look, I don't know if it's still there because it's been a while, but there was a strip, like a parking lot next to 528 that paralleled the highway. And there was a road, like a frontage road. And people would literally just hang out there all day long and watch planes take off and land because it's so busy. It's Orlando. And there's like a hot dog guy. And this is like, if there was like food trucks back in the 90s, like you would have been a millionaire back then. And yeah, as soon as that happened, like that got taken away, which is unfortunate,
I mean, obviously that is not the saddest part of 9/11, but
well, yeah, of course. So
yeah, I mean, I was, gosh, how old was I when 9/11 happened? I would have been 6, almost 7.
Yeah, I was,
and so I barely remember it.
I was 19. I was playing Blink-182 on the drums.
Did you understand the impact of it at 19?
I did. Some of it I will explain to you after I stop recording, but yeah, no, I was upstairs playing whatever. I forget which the name of the album, but I was like really into Blink-182 at the time, and I was like playing them on the drums upstairs, and I remember going downstairs, and I was like, wait a second, that doesn't look right, and yeah, that was a bad day. Did not expect to get into this topic.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's my fault.
That's because of
I mean, I always find it interesting when people talk about where they were on 9/11.
Yeah. Well, you don't remember the Challenger. I remember the Challenger too.
What year was that?
86.
Oh yeah, I definitely don't remember that.
Yeah. That's we can
I remember what was the one in the early 2000s though? There was a different
That was the Columbia.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And that actually train related, not to be selfish, but I was actually in Durango. I had driven with 2 friends of mine, and we drove out to Colorado mostly for the purpose of me kind of scoping out if like I wanted to work at the Durango in Silverton.
Oh, okay.
And
spoiler alert, you did.
Yeah, spoiler, I did. But that was in 2003, I think like in February or the end of January. And checked into the hotel. I remember growing up, as you probably remember in Florida, nobody had a fireplace. So there was a Kmart still at that time, and they were closing. And
shocker.
Because we were like, oh man, we're in the mountains and there's snow on the ground. Like we went to the Kmart, which was having its like closeout sale. We all went and bought like what we thought in 2003 without marketing and people buying Subarus kind of ideas of how you're supposed to be a outdoorsman. Just Kmart shoes for walking on rocks because Florida's just sand. And then when we got back to the hotel, it was like this kind of condo kind of style. So it had like a loft and then like a downstairs with a little bathroom and a kitchenette.
Yeah.
And we burned every single one of those shoe boxes. And we're like, oh man, we have a fire. This is amazing. We were so excited. But then the next morning we got up and went to where they had like the continental breakfast.
Uh-huh.
And that was the news because it had just happened. You know?
Yeah.
And I remember being a little paranoid because my dad was working as a contractor at NASA at the time too. So
oh wow.
I was like, oh man, my dad's going to lose his job. And, I didn't have much connection with what my dad did for work, except for a slight understanding. But I also knew
What did he do? I didn't know he worked for NASA.
He's a broadcasting engineer.
Okay.
So I may be like describing this wrong, and I can ask him later, and he'll probably tell me that I'm wrong. But from what I understand, he got some kind of an FCC license back in the day. My dad's way older than I am, so I can't explain this. But like, he worked at a PBS station in Jacksonville, and then when I was 7, we moved from Jacksonville because he got that job at NASA working at the time. I think it was Lockheed. And he, he kind of helped design cameras and, or not cameras, but like he would design like how all of the inputs or outputs to television stations would go for, like the runways or the launch pads and that kind of stuff. So, yeah. But anyway. That's what my dad did for a long time. So like when that happened, I mean that kind of, I remember as a kid, like when the Challenger happened, they kind of curtailed a lot of launches for a while, so they laid people off, and that would have impacted our family, of course, financially or who knows what. I was 19, 20 at the time, so it was kind of hard to, I maybe reconcile or figure out, what's going to happen. Because I was looking at moving away and trying to figure out how to become an adult. So there was that. But then, fortunately, I didn't have. I mean, it's sad for the crew, but like the repercussions of what happened were not as seriously as like we kind of initially felt that morning. As the 2 friends of mine that I was with were kind of nervous about too, because. It wasn't that. It was like what, 1.5, 2 years after 9/11, so it wasn't that far apart.
Yeah.
Granted, it's totally different circumstances, but yeah.
Anyway,
we have gone way off into the weeds.
This is gonna be a long interview. You are gonna have to edit this down.
Well, maybe not. So anyway, I started off by saying like why, which was more.
Did
or
I
less,
answer that question?
You kind of did. Yeah, you said like something about like you were in Tampa.
Family.
Yeah. And then okay, so I guess my question more would have been like, why did you want to make that particular documentary?
I don't think I have a good reason. I think I've always had this thing that I need a passion project I can be working on, something to kind of occupy my free time. And at the time, I had just gotten married. I got married young, and I think we had kind of figured out like how do you live with another person, and my free time was starting to open back up again a little bit, and so I just kind of wanted something to do. And that was right when the O1 was getting, towards the end of its restoration. And at the time, I cared probably a lot more about steam locomotives and all that kind of thing than I do now.
Right.
Not that I don't care, but it's different.
Had you ever seen that engine before?
No, that's the thing. Like, I had no special connection to that locomotive.
So yeah, I guess that's kind of like why I'm asking, like, why? Like,
yeah, because I could. That's really the answer, I think.
And you were nearby. Like, when did you move to Tennessee?
Well, and I mean that was 2011. But
so
I mean,
it was right around that time.
Yeah. Well, 2011 was the year that 21st Century Steam started. So like, I came up here from Florida at the perfect time.
Right.
And I was 16, and so I was what'd you call it earlier? Glassy-eyed foamer.
Glassy-eyed GERF. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a GERF. And
I mean, you don't have to use that term if you don't want to.
No, I like it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I want to use it.
It's from my buddy Nick. He told me to. So I've used it for years.
Shout out to Nick. I don't know you, but hello.
I think you've seen him. Anyway.
I think I have. And Nick Breeden?
No, Nick Coleman.
Coleman.
Yeah, he worked at TVRM for a while, and I worked with him at White Bass too. He's working for Canadian Pacific now, I believe. So.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, been on him for years and years. So you wanted it because it was a passion project.
Yes.
You had some free time.
Well, and growing up in Florida, like
right.
The only, at least at the time, the only steam that you got was like Disney World, right? So, and come on. So I'd never seen mainline steam or really big steam of any kind, even at like a museum or anything until we moved up here. So my first exposure to steam locomotives outside of that kind of setting was literally 611 on the main, or God, not 611, 630.
Wow, that's
yeah,
amazing.
right. No, 630 on the main line because that year they came up and ran some trips down the K&A to Maryville, and
I missed those, by the way.
oh yeah, oh, man, it was so crazy because we were here for less than a year. One night, my family and I were driving to our congregation meeting, and it was like the week before the trips out of Knoxville, and they brought the engine down to Alcoa and parked it there for the end of the week. And like we're just driving, and I look over, and I'm like, oh my God, that's a steam locomotive over there, like just hanging out on the local freight railroad in the town that I live in. This is weird.
It's weird to me because at the time I had no intention of ever living in Tennessee more than about 3 months when I moved here. And then I was trying to get back out to Colorado in 2012. I've been, more or less trying to go back to Colorado ever since I left. And I would drive through Alcoa or Maryville, but the only reason I ever came over here was because at the time in Tennessee, that was the closest place I could get to like a liquor store. Because I lived in Wares Valley, which was totally dry. Like you couldn't get a beer at a gas station, so.
It still blows my mind that we couldn't get liquor or anything, couldn't get any alcohol on Sundays until just recently.
Yeah, it was so weird. I remember I think it was in Pigeon Forge, it was some editorial and some preacher wrote in, he's like, Satan's going to ruin this town because, you're selling liquor by the drink, I'm like, what? Yeah, I don't think that that's the case. But anyway, you do realize that Jesus made wine if you read the Bible, but some people say
now this is a religious podcast.
It's a religious, it's Bible facts.
Yeah.
So anyway,
but I mean, like, I think the long and short of the answer to that question is that, like, because it was so different from everything I'd seen, and I just loved steam locomotives since I was a kid, like, it was enthralling to me. And so I just wanted to kind of like be in the middle of all that.
And now they're not.
I mean, they're still interesting. Like, I enjoy being around steam locomotives. I'll go out and see the 154 when they run seasonally and all that kind of stuff. But
you'll film a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna drive down to Chattanooga to shoot the 01 at TVRM. With that being my only goal in mind for the day.
Okay, so speaking of goals, like I've wanted to make documentaries about some of this stuff since I was a little kid. Mm-hmm. Have I ever done that? No, I have not. The closest.
Well, let me tell you, it's a lot of work.
Well, I know, and I'm going to ask you some questions about that in a second. But I guess like the closest I ever got to making a documentary, I wound up being sarcastic and talking about fried chicken, and that was the most effort I ever put into making a video. But was there any...
I know the video you're talking about. It's a great video. It's on YouTube. Whoever is listening to this needs to go look it up. What'd you call it?
Fried chicken recipes or something? I don't know. Like I just made it with my iPhone.
It was good.
And the drone and then that random sample I had. But okay, so you made that. Was there like an end goal to you making that documentary? Like when you decided that you wanted to make this?
I mean, it definitely wasn't money. Because the whole thing was a volunteer project, which I'm happy that we did it that way, because I think it just would have been complicated to do it any other way. And for the most part, I had fun doing it.
That's good.
I kind of, what's funny? This is gonna sound so lame, but I was young, so it's not as embarrassing, I guess.
Evan, you're still young.
Well, I was younger.
You don't know.
I was less mature
yet.
I was less mature. And
do you even have ibuprofen in this house? I doubt you do.
Yes, we do.
I doubt it.
We do.
Well, I'm gonna look later.
I'll show it.
No, I'll put that in the post recording comments.
Well,
have your wisdom teeth come out yet?
That's a different story. That's a tangent we don't want to go down. You got me thinking about that story though. Anyways, what was the question?
The question was, do you think that there's an end goal to why you made this documentary?
Oh, no, just to share the history of the engine. At the time, I was on a Ken Burns kick. I'm a big Ken Burns fan.
Yeah.
And I kind of, what it was actually more than anything, as much as it was a passion for steam locomotives, it was a passion for like wanting to just do a documentary Ken Burns style.
Was it so that you can meet Morgan Freeman?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I wanted to go down that path of getting like the voice actors and everything to
Right.
to like read quotes. But then of course, it's about a steam engine. How many quotes are there?
Well, we can do that. We can make this into a recording of me talking to the 4501.
No, let's
I'll
not.
just be the voice of the engine answering it, but we'll save that for another time.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
So I think I just wanted to do it to kind of prove to myself I could do it and to share it with people and hopefully uncover something cool, which I think the coolest thing I uncovered during the whole process was that the engine register, like the order register from Baldwin, like I legit like sleuthed that thing out at the Smithsonian.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was the coolest thing I did as part of that project, far and away.
I did a little bit of that kind of work when I was working on engine in Skagway, and it is kind of fun trying to research.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I could have done more, but like I just didn't even know where to start.
Right.
And I'm surprised at how easy it was actually to get that. I mean, I make it sound like, oh, I put in all this work to find this thing. Not really.
Right.
I just kind of was like, I wonder if this exists. And I found out somehow that all of the paperwork associated with Baldwin was preserved, or at least everything that was still extant when the company closed,
Right.
was preserved by the Smithsonian.
Nice.
And so I was like, do they have like a PR person? Like, can I call someone? And they had an archivist listed on their website. So I just reached out to them and I said, hey, this is what I'm looking for. This order would have been placed around such and such a time. Here's the builder's number on
That's
the engine.
cool.
And I was like, do you have it? And they're like, yeah, let us take a look. And then like a week later, they sent me the photos. I'm like, that was easy.
Was it much of an issue to like get permission to publish that, or is it because it's
No, I asked about it. I think because of the nature of the Smithsonian being that, like they want to share these things with the American public, like that's kind of their mission.
right?
Like this is the kind of stuff, this is why they have those things, so it can be used this way.
Yeah, it is nice when people are not stingy with like sharing their stories.
Yeah.
Or just, any like, family photos or
Yeah.
any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And speaking of which, shout out to the Sewell family. I was ready when I started this whole thing. I was about ready to give up on it pretty quick because I realized how hard it was going to be to get the footage and the photos that I needed. And there were a lot of people. I mean, Sewell's first and foremost because they filled in a lot of really important gaps at really important points in the engine's history, specifically on the K&T and shortly afterwards. But Robert was he was an early supporter of the project, and he reached out to us, if I remember right.
How did you guys come into contact?
Well, I started a Facebook page when I started this whole thing.
Back when Facebook was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Back when Facebook was Facebook that I remember.
When it was less
before
bad.
I didn't have a Facebook.
Yeah. And he reached out, and that was one of his early stipulations was, like I'd be willing to do this as long as like you're not going to make money off of this, because
Right.
I think he'd had a lot of people come across his path before that didn't have the most honorable of intentions by using the material that he had from his father.
Gotcha.
So and that wasn't a problem for me. Like I didn't care.
Right.
I said, yeah, no problem. Let's do this. And he invited me down to his house. And I went down there and literally spent like an entire evening just going through his archives, which was a really neat experience. He was very accommodating.
Yeah, I don't know him. I think it's his sister a little bit.
Yeah, Penelope.
Yes. Just kind of not.
She was also great. She helped do a lot of the packaging for the DVDs. She helped with the promotion. Like,
Yeah.
she put a lot of work into it too.
Yeah, like I know her better. I think I've met Robert once, but okay. So I was looking at the video today on YouTube.
How many views does it have now?
I forgot.
I haven't checked in a while. I know it crossed 2 million the other day, which kind of blew my mind.
I think it's more than that. It's
Well, when I say the other day, it was probably
like
a year ago.
4 years
now.
ago. Yeah. It's not as many hamburgers as McDonald's has sold. Not to disappoint you. But one thing that I noticed immediately when I was scrolling through the comments, and
There's so many comments.
there's a lot of comments. Now, the thing that kind of caught my eye immediately, and I kind of just quit scrolling through because I got bored. First off, you've got comments from people that are all over the planet.
I do?
Yeah, like Australia, New Zealand, England, the country of the United States.
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, there is. And there was a kind of a common thread from just...
these poor people, they're commenting on my video, and I'm not even reading their comments.
Well, whatever, and you can respond to
I mean,
them.
it's been how many years now? What year did this thing get released? I think it was 2016,
I think it was in 1994.
That was the year I was born.
But, no, like... So, anyway, one thing that I saw... And I have my own personal opinion on, and I will wait to kind of hear what you have to say. One difference between you and I is like I work on railroads and you don't. And that's not like because one's better than the other or anything like that, but just...
It is a statement of fact.
But what makes it interesting is you'll have a different perspective than I will. Mm-hmm. Or I can never have again because I've already done this. And...
Yeah.
I think that kind of makes the conversation more interesting, especially if like you start delving into more and more topics. But one thing that I noticed was that people said that they thought that this video should be used as a part of education in like a historical aspect. And
I mean, that was kind of part of the goal.
Right. Now, what parts of that video do you think are probably the most important in that?
That's an interesting question. I'll tell you right now, that documentary is way too long.
That is the next couple of questions I have.
Yeah, it is. It is about, and so another guy that I need to shout out. I should have shouted him out like immediately because this project would not have happened without him. Is Chuck Chambliss. He is just the nicest guy I have ever met. He's in Birmingham.
Okay, yeah, I remember you mentioning him. I think on that other podcast that you did.
Yeah, I think he's listed in the credits. I don't know what we ever decided his title was. No one really had titles on this project, but I think he's like the producer or executive producer or something.
Yeah.
But he did all the editing. He had actual professional video experience. He had all the things that I needed, including like a close personal connection to the locomotive through his grandfather, I believe. Okay. So like he had all the motivation and the tools that I did not have.
Right.
But I mean, he got involved early on too. He found us through the Facebook page and he just jumped right in. Like he was kind of asking me some questions about how I plan to do a lot of this stuff that he knew I would have to do.
Right.
And I was just, I don't know. And I asked him, I was like, do you just want to join the project? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. And I'm really glad he did. But all this is to say that he told me before we released it, he's like, man, this is too long. Like we need to get it down to an hour.
Right.
And
did he say why?
Well, I mean, yeah, he did. I mean, it was all the right reasons. It was like, it's just too long to hold in your average audience on this particular topic, which he's totally right. But at the time, just the script being what it was, I was convinced that I could not cut it down any shorter and without losing something, which in hindsight, I do not think was accurate. Like I really should have just listened to him and gone with it. I mean, even an hour and 15 minutes probably would have been way more concise.
I forget, right. What's the total?
It's about an hour and a half.
Yeah, and something. Yeah, it is long. I mean, I enjoyed it. I remember watching it the first time whenever it came out, but
yeah, but to answer your actual question about what are the most important parts, that's a tough one. That's a tough one to answer. Because, as important and as important as that locomotive and the history that locomotive is to a lot of people, I think that a lot of the people who view it with that emotion and who have that strong personal connection to it, there's not tons of them left, to be honest.
Right.
I mean, that's getting to be 50 years ago now that thing was really popular in the STEAM program. I mean, yeah, it ran up through the 90s, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of that passion has kind of faded. It's not nearly as popular as it used to be. So
I'll say this from my side. You know, as I mentioned a minute ago, working on railroads or steam engines or whatever, I know the people that are really attached to that engine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know people that have their very strong opinions about it because of working on it.
Yeah. Strong opinions how? Like they hate it because it's difficult to maintain?
My personal opinion is it's not my favorite engine. I think it's cool. I mean,
at the end of the day, it's a cookie cutter USRA 282, right? I mean, like it's...
Well, okay, so...
Which I think is part of the reason I liked it, actually, was it kind of had the classic lines and look.
Right. So my personal opinion, when they redid it as the L&N 1593,
yeah,
cool. I thought that it looked way better. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, you and I chased that on a Somerville trip.
We did. And then I asked why we couldn't just double head it with the 4501. Because that would have been really cool if we could have done that.
Yeah, just clone it.
Yeah,
they can do that now with sheep, right?
Yeah, we got sheep.
Wouldn't it be easier to clone a locomotive?
Right, and like, isn't Dolly the name of the sheep? So she doesn't live too far away. You got Dollywood. So, yeah, I know it's a terrible joke. Anyway,
rim shot.
No, I'm not even doing it this time.
Which button is it?
It's the one that you're not touching.
Oh,
no, but like. Okay, so all these people are like, oh man, this should be a part of like, educational history but the thing is, I work with people that do this job. And, history is an interesting facet. Like it's something that you cover in school.
Yeah.
You can make it interesting if you try and you try to make it relatable. So what parts of this documentary do you think you would condense, and would you keep, or what would you cut?
It's been so long since I've watched it.
I didn't even watch it today, just so you know, because I didn't want to watch it. I was like, I've seen it twice. I'm done.
I mean, I definitely think that like the whole portion, covering the glory days, the golden days of the STEAM program in the 70s and 80s probably could have been about half as long.
Okay.
I feel like there was a lot of repetition in there, honestly. I definitely wish that we had gotten more variety of people to interview. But it was tough, right? Because it was kind of an indie project. We had no funding.
Yeah.
Some people took us seriously. Most people didn't. So in fact, even, I think that even the museum ended up being a great supporter of the project, but not until the very end when they basically saw that, oh, they've actually got something.
I didn't know anything about it until I saw like the trailers, and the trailers are really professional. I was like, oh, that
cool. Was 100% Chuck.
That's cool.
Yeah. He really made those trailers work. And I agree. I think the trailers were the turning point, because it's like we put something out that actually grabbed people's attention.
Mm.
And I think that's when we kind of got the support of the museum and, started making more headway.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. That is the end of this episode. There'll be another part at some point. I have it edited. I can't speak correctly. And that will be coming out as soon as I work on it. So when I say work on it, it literally needs about 10 minutes of work, and then however long it takes to upload to the internet. I would like to say that none of the opinions or stories are definitely reflect those of people that we talk about or any of the places that we work. It's all with respect, and we're just having fun. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we will cover some more topics in the next episode, including how he made the interviews and some things that Evan liked to shoot in the future. And I also spend about 10 minutes explaining the Ken Burns edit in Final Cut Pro. So until next time, shalom or something.